appearing again to bless us, benedict us, and uplift us with your wisdom. So dear devotees, let us welcome His Holiness Keshava Maharaj to ISKCON Leicester with the loudest as you can. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. His Holiness Keshava Maharaj ki Jai. And I'd also like to welcome His Grace Swami Prabhu from Slovakia. Where did he go? He's just stepped outside. He was leading puja. He's traveling with Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Oh, I must mention, today's theme of class is going to be entering into the meditation and preparing for Janmashtami. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. So thank you so much for being here this morning. So today, as presumably mentioned, we're entering into a meditation on Janmashtami. And Srila Prabhupada gave us this very beautiful meditation of Jaya Radha Madhav. Of course, for you in Leicester, it's even more significant because Shri Radha Madhava manifested here. Are you fortunate? Very fortunate. So, it's a very beautiful song, Jaya Radha Madhav. One time, someone came to Srila Prabhupada and said, "Does the Guru know everything?" Prabhupada was bold. He just looked back at the person and said, "Yes, the Guru knows everything." So the person looked at Prabhupada and said, "You're a Guru, right?" And Prabhupada said, "Yes." So he looked at Srila Prabhupada, he said, "How many windows in the Empire State Building?" And Prabhupada looked straight back at this person and said, "How many drops of water in a mirage?" Very deep answer. In other words, what is your answer going to be? 10 drops, 1,000 drops, 10 million drops? It doesn't matter what your answer is, because a mirage doesn't actually exist. So Prabhupada said, a Guru knows everything about that which is eternal. But this material world is temporary. But we take this material world so seriously, everything that happens in this world. My life, my problems, everything, my. It's just a flash in eternity. Jai Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai. Here today, gone tomorrow. So Srila Prabhupada said, focus on the spiritual world. Don't get too caught up. Don't allow the things of this world to steal your mind. Things steal our mind. They say in the first 20 years of your life, you're very concerned what people think about you. In the second 20 years of your life, you don't care what people think about you. And later on, you realize nobody was thinking about you anyway. So we take our life so serious. My problems, my difficulties, my obstacles, my issues. You know, it's okay. It's just a flash in eternity, just passing through on the way to Sri Vrindavan Dham. Would you like to go to Vrindavan Dham? Radha Madhava Jai Kunja
Jai
Saraswatim Vyasam Dojayamudiraye Nastapraishva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna. So, good morning to everyone. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is your best friend. Sanatana Goswami recites a beautiful prayer and he says, Madeka Bandhu Mat Sangin Mad Guru Mad Mahadhana Mad Nishtaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namostute. In this life, so many people came in and out of my life. Madeka Bandhu Mat Sangin, but I had one constant friend. I had one constant companion. And that one constant friend and companion was Srimad Bhagavatam. A friend supports you, a friend inspires you, a friend encourages you, and a friend gives you good advice. And therefore he says, Madeka Bandhu, my only real friend is Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore, those who establish a very close relationship with the Bhagavatam can move peacefully through this world. Otherwise, this world is full of chaos. Do not disturb, already disturbed. So everyone is so disturbed. It just takes something small to disturb us. So as we connect with Srimad Bhagavatam, then we realize we become more and more immune to the ups and downs of life. Even now we are all sitting here, but so many things are going through our minds. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balavadritam. The mana, the mind, is so chanchal, is so restless that Arjuna says Vayuriva is even more difficult to control than the wind. But we have this fortune of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So sometimes the Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be an intoxicant. No intoxication. You take the vow, isn't it? When you... One time Srila Prabhupada was initiating someone, so he said, what are the 4 principles? So he said, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. Prabhupada said, very good. Which one do you like the most? So we have a special attraction towards all these things. But we say no intoxication, but actually the Srimad Bhagavatam is described to be an intoxicant. Yes. Because if you think about an intoxicant, what does an intoxicant do? A few beers on a Friday night. The effect of a material intoxicant is it makes you forget the material world. Isn't it? All inhibitions disappear after a few drinks. Intoxicants make you forget the material world, but the acharyas say Srimad Bhagavatam is a unique intoxicant, because what it does is it doesn't just help you to forget the material world, but it helps you to remember the eternal world. If you find an intoxicant which does both, you're allowed. If you only do an intoxicant which does one, it doesn't actually get you anywhere in the long term. Therefore, we have establishments like Alcoholics Anonymous. Because people realize this isn't going anywhere. Temporarily I forget, and then I'm launched right back into the chaos of this world. Therefore, Bhagavatam means the means to escape this world by always remembering the spiritual world. We look out of this window and we think this is the real world. Granby Street. No. You have to look at this picture and you have to realize this is the window to the real world. This is just drops in a mirage. So, the Bhagavatam is known as Purana. Purana is a very interesting word. Purana means old. Puran, old? Oh. So Purana means old. Interestingly, Jiva Goswami says Purana also means Puranava. Ever fresh, ever new. How can something be old and ever new? Yes, Jiva Goswami says both. And he says Purana refers to also Purna, that which makes everything perfect. So the Bhagavatam, imagine the glory of this book. It's a book which is completely ancient. At the same time, it's completely new. And at the same time, it makes everything perfect and it doesn't need any upgrade or adjustment. That's the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's a great opportunity to read. That's why Srila Prabhupada gave it to us. The basic point is, don't try to solve your problems with technology. Don't try and solve the problems with anything of this world. Solve your problems with spiritual technology, because the technology of this world goes on and on. Works for some time. Alright, so today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We're reading from the 10th canto. And this is very, very beautiful. Everything begins with a question. So the 10th canto begins with a question. Parikshit is asking, tell me about Krishna. And the devotees, they have an answer for everything. When I met the devotees, 3 things impressed me about them. Number 1, how much they could eat. Number 2, that they worked so hard. And number 3, these guys had an answer for everything. I was like, these guys got an answer for everything. They're smart guys. So when the Vaishnavas are asked a question, they always have an answer. And Parikshit, when he asked the question, can you tell me about Krishna? Well, Sukadeva Goswami has so many things to say. He has so many things to say that he spoke 12 cantos of the Bhagavatam. But when he was asked the question, can you tell me something about Krishna? Then he made a canto which was 90 chapters long. Because there were so many things to say. It's never ending. Vayam tu na vitripyama uttama shloka vikrame yachrinvatam rasadhyanam svadu svadu pade pade. There is gyan, there is knowledge, but then there is rasa gyan. If I say rasa, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Ras. Rasagula, okay. Now we know where your consciousness is at. Thank you so much. Yes, you think of something very, very sweet when you think of rasa. So, the sages say, we never tire. We never tire to hear about Krishna. Because this is not just gyan. Gyan gets boring after some time. Oh, speaking so much philosophy, okay. I don't want to just hear gyan. But the sages say this is not just gyan, this is rasa gyan. This is knowledge which has so much sweetness. And therefore, if you learn how to relish, muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. Bhagavatam, you have to become a connoisseur. You understand connoisseur? Connoisseur means one who knows how to taste. Like if you go to south of France nowadays, not that I have personal experience, I've just heard about this. Just put a disclaimer before this video goes to the GBC. In the south of France, you can go to wine markets, and there they store the wine for hundreds of years. And then one who is a connoisseur, they can come and they can take a little bit of the wine. And then because they're such a connoisseur, just by tasting the wine, they can tell you, oh, this is 340 years old, from this wine market, from this kind of grapes. They can tell you everything. Because they know how to taste. But we don't know how to taste, because we are not rasika. Therefore, when we read the Bhagavatam, we fall asleep. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say we, I should say me. And then you can decide for yourself. In the manner they said, every devotee, every brahmachari gets 7 hours of sleep, 6 hours at night, and 1 hour in the Bhagavatam class. So people can't handle it. They can't handle it. One devotee once came to me, after I gave class, he said, that was an amazing class. I said, why? He said, you ended on time. That is I realized this is the measure of a good Bhagavatam class now. Just make sure you end on time. So the Bhagavatam is a rasa jnanam, and we have to understand swadu. Swad means Gujarati acha. Swad means taste only. So swadu, pade means at every step. At every recital, at every vibration, there is more and more taste. Therefore, you'll know someone is an advanced devotee if they wear saffron. No, I'm joking. That is not the measure, definitely not. You'll know someone is an advanced devotee if they can sit down and hear Krishna's name and hear Krishna's narrations without their mind going to 100 million places. I can sit here, no problem. Just happy to listen. One who has the capacity to hear. Sutta Goswami was known as Ugra Shrava. This is his name. Ugra means voracious. Most of us are voracious eaters. But Sutta Goswami was Ugra Shrava, a voracious listener. Couldn't get enough. We keep listening. So the Bhagavatam is very, very glorious. We must become connoisseurs. And then we can sit down and just read the Bhagavatam. Some people read the Bhagavatam to get some information, and then I will come back out into the world and then I'll apply it. Okay, that's nice. But what about if one day you could go into the Bhagavatam and just stay there? What do you mean, stay there? Yes, the Bhagavatam is not a book, it's Krishna's world. And therefore, if you know the art, you can read the Bhagavatam and just stay there. And that gives you an escape from Leicester. So today we'll read from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Please repeat after me. Rajadhani tata sabhu Sarvayadava bhubujan Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sanihito Hari Rajadani Tata Sabhu Sarvayadava Bhubujam Sarvaya Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sanihito Hari Rajadhani Tata Sabhu Sarvayadava Bhubujam Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sanihito Hari. Anyone would like to recite?
Rajadhani tata sabut Sarvayadava bhubujam Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sanihito Hari Rajadhani tata sabut Sarvayadava bhubujam Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sanihito Hari
Rajadhani tata sabut
Sarvayadava Bhubujam
Mathura Bhagavan Yatra
Nityam Sanihito Hari. Mataji's.
Rajadhani Tata Sabut
Rajadhani Tata Sabut Sarvayadava Bhubujam
Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sanihito Hari Rajadhani Tata Sabut Sarvayadava Bhubujam Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sanihito Hari Rajadhani Tata Sabut Sarvayadava Bhubujam Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sanihito Hari.
Thank you so much. When I say Rajadhani, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Oh, okay. I thought it was an Indian train. You can see where my consciousness is. Rajadhani is a famous Indian train, I think. Anyway. In this context, Rajadhani means the capital. So this is the translation. Since that time, which time? Since the time Krishna and the Yadava dynasty appeared in the world. Since that time, the city of Mathura had been the capital of all the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The city and district of Mathura are very intimately connected with Krishna, for Lord Krishna lives there eternally. Let's think about that for a second. Krishna is living eternally in Sri Vrindavan Dham, Sri Vrajabhumi, Sri Mathura Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parityaja padamekam nagacchati. The Shastra says Krishna never takes one step outside of Vrindavan. So, if you go to Vrindavan today, those who have spiritual vision can see Krishna performing his pastimes even today. It is understood that Mathura city is the transcendental abode of Lord Krishna. It is not an ordinary material city, for it is eternally connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vrindavan is within the jurisdiction of Mathura, and it still continues to exist. Because Mathura and Vrindavan are intimately connected with Krishna eternally, it is said that Lord Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parityajya padamekam na gacchati. At present, the place known as Vrindavan in the district of Mathura continues its position as a transcendental place. And certainly anyone who goes there, has anyone been there? Okay. Anyone who goes there becomes transcendentally purified. Navadvip Dham is also intimately connected with Brajabhumi. Srila Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Shri Gaura Mandala Bhumi Jaiva Jane Chintamani Tara Hoy Brajabhume Vas. Brajabhumi refers to Mathura Vrindavan, and Gaura Mandala Bhumi includes Navadvip. These two places are non-different. Therefore, anyone living in Navadvip Dham, knowing Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the same personality, lives in Brajabhumi, Mathura Vrindavan. The Lord has made it convenient for the conditioned soul to live in Mathura, Vrindavan and Navadvip, and thus be directly connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Simply by living in these places, one can immediately come in contact with the Lord. There are many devotees who vow never to leave Vrindavan and Mathura. This is undoubtedly a good vow. But if one leaves Vrindavan, Mathura and Navadvip Dham for the service of the Lord, he is not disconnected from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At any rate, we must understand the transcendental importance of Mathura, Vrindavan, and Navadvip Dham. Anyone who executes devotional service in these places certainly goes back home, back to Godhead, after giving up this body. Thus, the words Mathura, Bhagavan, Yatra, Nityam, Sanihito, Hari are particularly important. A devotee should fully utilize this instruction to the best of his ability. Whenever the Supreme Lord personally appears, he appears in Mathura because of his intimate connection with this place. Therefore, although Mathura and Vrindavan are situated on this planet Earth, they are the transcendental abodes of the Lord. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach the world four things. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesh Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupashana Vrajavadu Vargenaya Kalpita. The first thing that Mahaprabhu came to teach the world is that the goal of life is prema. Prema dhana vina vyartha daridra jivan. You can have so many things in your life, but if you don't have prema, if you don't have some love in your heart, then you must be considered poor. So the goal of life is that one must develop some love for Krishna. Then one has achieved the goal of life. But who should that love be directed towards? Krishna in Vrindavan. The in Vrindavan bit is important because there are many forms of Krishna. But Shyamameva param rupam puri mudi purivara Veyakai shorakam vyayam adya eva paro rasa. Krishna has many forms. But Shyamameva param rupam. There is one form which is considered the highest form. And that is Krishna as Shyama Sundar in Vrindavan. And therefore the goal of life is love. Who should we direct that love towards? Krishna in Vrindavan. And who is the example of devotees who have the purest and most intense type of love for Krishna in Vrindavan? The gopis. Vrajavadu Vargenaya Kalpita. Vrajavadu means the milkmaids of Vrindavan. So the gopis are the ideal example. And if you want to develop that kind of love, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. There is a place you can go to get the information by which you can also develop that kind of love, and that is Srimad Bhagavatam. These four things, and these four things only, actually, Mahaprabhu came to teach the world, and obviously spreading the Sankirtan movement. So, Krishna in Vrindavan is very, very special. Here, Srila Prabhupada is saying that everyone has the opportunity to take shelter of Vrindavan. When you go to someone's home, then you can immediately connect with that person in a much deeper way. Immediately when you enter someone's home, it already means you have a deeper relationship with someone. Otherwise, how you can let them in your house? You don't just let anyone in your house, no? You only let someone you have a relationship with. And when they come in your house, then they see your pictures, they taste your cooking, they see how disorganized it is. They learn so many things about you just by being in your home only, isn't it? Therefore, if you really want to know where someone is at, then just turn up to their house unexpected. Can I come in? And you see where someone is. Because usually when the devotees come to our home, we do a maha cleanup for 1 week, just to make sure. So when you come into someone's home, immediately you can begin to understand many things about that person. So you have to understand that Braja, Vrindavan, Mathura is Krishna's home. And the amazing thing is, Krishna says you don't need any invitation. It's open, come. And Srila Prabhupada is the ambassador of Vrindavan. So he went around the whole world telling everyone, the doors are open, you can go. So if you haven't gone to Vrindavan yet, you are a ghost. Living, but not living. How can you not go to Vrindavan? Vrindavan is Krishna's home. Prabhupada says he's eternally living here, and you haven't been to Vrindavan. You've been to Paris, you've been to Stockholm, you've been to London, you've been so many places, you haven't been Vrindavan. This is the capital of the universe. And we have the opportunity to go there. So, if you want to learn about Krishna, if you want to love Krishna, if you want to understand the emotions of those who give their hearts to Krishna in the deepest way, then, if you're wise, you will take shelter of Sri Vrindavan Dham. And therefore, the devotees even go today for parikrama. They go and they spend 1 month or longer or shorter, and they walk around Sri Vrindavan Dham. When you do Vrindavan Parikrama for 30 days, Vrajamandal Parikrama, then the first place you begin your Parikrama is in a place called Vishram Ghat. Now this is very interesting. You're starting a 30-day walk, and the name of the first place is the resting place. Vishram means, like in Gujarati we say, Aram. Aram, relax. So Vishram Ghat means the place of relaxation. We're not going to relax here, we're on a 30-day walk. So why is the first place in Brajamandal known as Vishram Ghat? This has a very deep meaning. The external meaning is because it's the place where Krishna rested himself. When Krishna came into Mathura, first Krishna killed the washerman, then Krishna killed the elephant, then Krishna killed the wrestlers, then Krishna killed Kamsa. My God. Krishna likes to kill, huh? He did a lot of killing that day. And it's explained after he killed all of these personalities, then Krishna came to Vishram Ghat on the banks of the Yamuna, and he rested there. Therefore, this ghat is known as Vishram Ghat. But actually, the Puranas explain there is a deeper reason why this place is called Vishram Ghat. Because this is the place where the soul can rest. Do you sometimes feel like, I just need a break from life? I need a holiday. I need to just disconnect from all of this. I don't want to be part of this anymore. Sometimes we get those feelings in our heart. So it's very apt that Brajamandal begins Vishram Ghat, because Brajamandal, Vrindavan, this is the place where you can rest. Otherwise, the world will keep you busy. And you know what? The world will keep you busy doing useless things. In Sanskrit, there is a word, shrama. Dharma svanustita pumsham vishvakshena kathashuya notpadayed yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. The Bhagavatam says people in this world are running around doing 1,000,001 things, but if it doesn't lead them to Vrindavan, Shramma eva hi kevalam, all of this work is a useless waste of time. I'm not saying it. Bhagavatam is saying it. So sometimes we do so much work, and what does it amount to? Sometimes we feel I'm working so hard, so much time, so much energy, so much effort, so much exertion. And at the end of the day, what do I have to show for all of this? One time a man came to the Caribbean, so he wanted to cross the river. So there was one boatman sitting there in a hammock. You know, hammock? It's like relaxing, aram. He's just relaxing there. So this man was like a very influential. He said, hey, get up, I want to come across the river. He said, oh, okay, all right, I'll take you across, no worries. So he started rowing him across, this boatman. So this person, he was like an influential person. He looked at the boatman, he said, what do you do all day? He said, I chant, I remember Krishna, and now and again if someone comes, I row them across this beautiful river. This man said, what are you doing? You're wasting your life. Why don't you get one more boat? The person said, what will I do with 2 boats? He said, you can make double the money. And then the boatman said, but then what will I do with double the money? He said, then you can buy another 2 boats. Then you can have 4. So the boatman looked at him and said, what will I do with 4 boats? He said, then you can employ more people and you can create a company. He said, what will I do with a company? He said, then you can make more profits and then you can expand in different parts of the country. And then he says, and what about when I have multiple branches? Then what will I do? He said, then you can float it on the stock market and become rich. And the boatman looked at him and he said, and what will I do when I become rich? He said, then you can retire and you can come here and just relax. Boatman said, doing the only life. Shramma eva kevalam. We have to think deeply about this. It's a funny story, but is some of our life like this? Round and round, spending time, energy, giving our heart to so many things, which ultimately amount to nothing. Therefore, Bhagavatam says, Shramma, don't get involved in all of these things, wasting your time. Do something meaningful. Therefore, Bhagavatam says most people are doing Shrama. But if you're wise, then you will do Ashrama. Ashrama means a place where you are engaging in spiritual activity. Now, a place where you engage in spiritual activity is not that it's not hard work anymore. It's hard work. Spiritual life is hard work. But it's not Shrama, it's Ashrama. Ashrama means hard work, which is taking you somewhere significant. Each one of us in this room have a limited amount of time, we have a limited amount of energy, and we have limited opportunities that we can take advantage of. Everything in this world is limited. The question is, Where are you going to spend your time? Where are you going to spend your energy? And what opportunities are you going to avail of? The choice, as they say, is yours. Yata ichha tata guru. You decide what you want to do. But what Krishna is basically teaching is that the whole world is doing shrama. But if you are wise, then instead of doing shrama, you will enter ashrama. Spiritually become a hard worker. And if you do ashrama, then one day you can qualify yourself to live in Vrindavan, which is the place of Vishram. Then you can rest. Then you can relax. Then you can disconnect from all of this chaos. So Brajamandal Parikrama is an opportunity to remind ourselves that this is the land that we are trying to enter. Not to get entangled, distracted by the things of this world. So in Brajamandal Parikrama, he has mentioned Brajabhumi is very, very beautiful. There are 12 forests. And you can walk from forest to forest. And in every forest you can remember Krishna. When you do Brajamandal Parikrama, then the first forest you come to is Madhuvan. Madhuvan means the forest of honey. And this is the forest that Dhruva Maharaj came to when he did his austerities to try to see Vishnu. Then from Madhuvan, the next forest you come to is Talavan. This is the forest where Balaram killed Dainukasura and brought all the fruits, the juicy fruits off the top of the tree, brought them down so that all the gopis could enjoy those fruits. You see, Balaram represents the Guru. So if you want the highest fruits from the most beautiful trees, then you need a Guru, a spiritual teacher who can help to make that which is very, very high. The spiritual master brings it down and makes it very, very accessible and puts it in your hand. All you have to do is open your hands and receive it. From Talavan, the next forest that comes is Kumudavan. Kumudavan is the smallest forest in Braj. This is the forest of flowers, and this is where Krishna, the Gopas and the Gopis all used to pick flowers. It's said in Kumudavan is also the place where Kapila Dev, in the third canto of the Bhagavatam, you hear about Kapila Dev and Devahuti. So it's the place where Kapila Dev was writing many, many things. Then from Kumudavan, the fourth forest you go to is Bahulavan. This is the place where there was a very, very beautiful cow named Bahula. And one day a tiger came and said, I want to eat you. And she said, yes, yes, you can eat me, but first let me go home and let me feed my small calf. And when she went home and fed her calf, then she explained to her calf, now I have to go and I'm going to get eaten by the tiger. And so the calf said, no, no, I will go instead, and I will be eaten by the tiger, so you can stay alive. And the owner of the cow and the calf overheard the conversation, and he said, no, no, I will go to the tiger and be eaten, so both of you can stay alive. So all three of them, the cow, the calf, and the owner, all went to the tiger and said, eat us. He said, 3 for the price of 1. And then the tiger turned into Vishnu and said, no, no, I was just testing. I was just testing your integrity. I was just testing your honesty. I was just testing your simplicity. And because you're honest, because you're simple, and because you do what you say, none of you have to die. You can live in Vrindavan eternally. You can't live in Vrindavan if we're dishonest. We can't live in Vrindavan if we're duplicitous. We can't live in Vrindavan if we say one thing and do something else. From Bahulavan, the next forest that you go to is Kamyavan. Kamyavan means the forest of desire. Kamyavan is such a massive forest, so many things happen there. one of the most beautiful things that happened in Kamyavan is that when the Pandavas from the Mahabharata were in exile, then they were living actually in Kamyavan. And you remember that famous conversation that Yudhishthira had with Yamaraj, where he asked him many questions? That conversation takes place in Kamyavan. Yamaraj asked Yudhishthira, what is more numerous than the grass? Yudhishthira said, the desires within the living entity. Yamaraj asked Yudhishthira, what is faster than the wind? And Yudhishthira said, the speed of the mind. What is heavier than a mountain? And Yudhishthira said, the love of a mother. What is the most amazing thing in the world? Everyone is dying, but I think I'm going to live here forever. From Kamyavan, the next forest is Vrindavan. Vrindavan, we don't need to say, so many things happened there. And from Vrindavan, they said the next forest is Khadiravan. Khadiravan also very beautiful. There's one place there called Anjanok. When Krishna played his flute, Shriman Rasarasadambhi Vamshiva Tatatastita. Krishna played his flute under the Vamshivat, and the gopis ran. And one time, Srimati Radharani ran to Krishna, and when Krishna saw Srimati Radharani, he looked into her eyes and he said, something missing. Where is your mascara? Anjan means mascara. She said, you played the flute. I was decorating, but you played the flute. I had to run. Therefore, I didn't have time. And so Krishna, with his own hands, decorated Srimati Radharani's eyes with mascara. So it's a very beautiful temple there. Right next to the altar, there's a Shila, and you can rub your hands on it, and mystically, like this black mascara comes. And then people decorate themselves with it. These are 7 forests. Yamuna splits Braj into 2. So there are the forests on the western side, and then there are forests on the eastern side. So on the western side there are 7, and then when you cross the Yamuna, then there are 7 forests on the other side. The first forest on the eastern side is Bandiravan. This is where Krishna and Srimati Radharani were married. Married? I didn't know they were married. Yes, they were married. One time Brahmaji descended to see the divine couple, and the gopis arranged a mock wedding ceremony of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. Bandiravan means to bind together, because when husband and wife get married, then their clothes are bound together. From Bandiravan, then you go to Bailavan. Bailavan is the place where Lakshmi Devi is residing, because Lakshmi Devi heard about the rasa dance and she wanted to enter. But no, you cannot enter. You can only enter the rasa dance if you're a gopi. And therefore it said that Srimati Radharani is residing in that forest today, doing austerities so she can enter the rasa dance. And from Bilvavan you go to Bhadravan. Bhadravan is the forest which is named after Balaram, because Balaram is also known as Balabhadra. And therefore this is the forest where Balaram and his cowherd friends used to play. And from there you go to Lohavan. Lohavan is a very beautiful place. This is where Krishna disguised himself as a boatman and was teasing the gopis. And from there you end at Mahavan, Gokul Mahavan. This is the place where Krishna was born, as we know, and where he grew up. So like this, the 12 forests of Braj. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says there are 5 primary rasas and there are 7 secondary rasas. 5 plus 7 equals 12. So he says if you want to experience all the rasas, then you simply go to the 12 forests of Vrindavan, and there you can experience all the rasa. So everyone wants to experience rasa. And maybe I'll end on this point, and then if you have any questions, we can ask. Okay? This work? Okay. Everyone wants to experience rasa, isn't it? Sweetness. There are two types of rasa, material and spiritual. Material rasa is an acquired taste. Do you agree with me? How many people smoked the cigarette for the first time and said, amazing? Generally, you had to get addicted and then you got attached. In other words, it's not a taste which is innate to you. It's a taste which you have to learn. Therefore, material rasa is said to be acquired rasa, whereas spiritual rasa is said to be awakened rasa. You love Krishna already. Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prem, Sadhya Kabunoi. You don't have to get it. You already love Krishna. You just have to reawaken it. Because material rasa is acquired, it's relative. Some people like some types of material rasa and other people like other types of material rasa. If you go to Bengal, they'll only eat rice. And if you go to other places, they'll eat other things. Whereas spiritual rasa is absolute. Everyone can relish it equally. And therefore, material rasa, because it's relative, it's temporary. The things that you liked 10 years ago, probably many of those things you don't like them anymore. Or the things that you like, somebody else doesn't like. So these rasas are always changing. But spiritual rasa is eternal. It's what we call amrita. Amrita means it never dies. Whereas temporary rasa is called chapala sukh. Temporary, always flickering. So everyone wants to experience rasa. But which rasa will you experience in your life? That depends on what you pursue. And so, we can say, broadly speaking, there are different types of bhakti. There's casual bhakti, there's committed bhakti, and there's purified bhakti. In casual bhakti, one in their life is basically pursuing material rasa, and bhakti rasa is part of that rasa. I like coming to the temple a little bit, along with many other things. Isn't it? Some people are like this. Like they come to the temple, but they have a certain amount and they'll never do more than that. Like one time one person came to the temple and he was chanting 1 round. So I said, maybe it's time, 2 rounds. He said, no. No, 1 round. I will do my 1 round. Don't ask me for more. I like it. I enjoy it. Only 1. So it's still very nice. It's still, they're engaging. But they are seeing bhakti rasa as just one of the rasas. It's a nice rasa and many other things also. This is called casual bhakti. Then there is committed bhakti. What happens in committed bhakti is you realize bhakti rasa and material rasa are completely different. Actually, material rasa doesn't work. Bhakti rasa does work. But the problem is, I still have taste for material rasa. So therefore, in committed bhakti, we're trying to take this taste down and we're trying to increase this taste. We've been frustrated enough by material things to think, I need to give this up. And we've been attracted enough by bhakti rasa to think, I need to develop this. But it's a constant struggle. And then in purified devotion, it's only bhakti rasa. There's no other rasa. All the rasa for other things have disappeared. Therefore, vairagya, you've heard the word vairagya, no? Vairagya means renunciation or detachment. But vairagya also means vishesha raga, special attachment. In other words, the Sanskrit word for detachment also means a special kind of attachment. In other words, when you experience bhakti rasa, then the desire for material rasa disappears. However, dear friends, dear devotees, I have to reveal to you now something incredible. If you were sleeping for the whole class, wake up now. This is an important point. Did you know there is something beyond purified devotional service? Did you know there is something beyond purified bhakti? That is called passionate bhakti. Did anyone ever tell you about this? I thought purified devotional service was the highest thing. Actually, there is something which is even more amazing than pure devotional service, and that is pure devotional service in Vrindavan. Pure devotional service which is so passionate, which is so free from awe and reverence, which is free from any kind of formality, a type of bhakti rasa that is expanding. You see, this is bhakti rasa, but this is bhakti rasa within a boundary of awe and reverence. In passionate bhakti, that awe and reverence disappears, and this bhakti rasa expands to unparalleled degrees. This is known as Vraja Bhakti. And most of the world has no idea about this. But the Srimad Bhagavatam introduces you to Vrindavan, where you go beyond casual, you go beyond committed, and you even go beyond simply pure devotional service to a type of devotion which is so passionate that it disregards all awe and reverence. So if you want to go from here to here, then you have to add knowledge. If you want to go from here to here, then you have to add practice. And if you want to go from here to here, you have to add the association of a Brajabasi. Tistan Vraje Tadanuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayat Akilanityupadesha Saram. You have the opportunity to live in Braj, even now in your consciousness, but you have to follow someone who's living in Braj, in consciousness. And so these are the incredible truths that are being revealed to us by Srimad Bhagavatam. When we wake up in the morning, we have plenty to do. But most people are just engaged in plenty to do in the material world, going around in circles. Shrama eva hike valam. Now I'm not suggesting you all leave it behind and renounce everything. But what I am suggesting is that perhaps all of us can think deeply. What can I do to connect every part of my life to Krishna? If you do that, then you will not only fulfill your material duties, but you will begin to connect with Krishna in a very profound way that will bring you a taste that no taste of this world can compare to. That is the offer of Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is the opportunity that we all have. So let us think deeply. What am I doing every day to invest in bhakti rasa? Because remember, it's not going to come automatically. Ashrama. Don't think that now I'm going to retire from material life and I can relax in spiritual life. No. You have to work hard. But you're working hard for something that's going to reawaken divine love. And then when you have love, Vishram, then you can rest. You can rest in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Shri Prabhupada ki jai. What time have we got to? Questions? Okay. Any questions? Complaints? Comments? Yeah.
Maharaj,
Is there a mic or? Okay, you can, I'll repeat it.
just the previous stage of this, when you're writing down, you said that the spiritual rasa is awakened.
The spiritual rasa is awakened. So when we have this understanding of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his benediction that we can switch rasas, we can switch our form, spiritual world, then is that in one sense awakened or is it acquired? Because then you know, that.
So bhakti rasa is awakened in the sense that love for Krishna is universal. Whether it's love in one rasa or it's love in another rasa. Nitya siddha Krishna prem sadhya kabu noy shravanadi sudachite karaye udoy. Love for Krishna is already established within the heart of every living entity, and that love only has to be awakened by pure devotional service in hearing and chanting. So, yes, it is awakened. And yes, there could also be this argument that by contact with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, one can gain entrance into certain realms of the spiritual world and relationships with Krishna that previously they may not have been qualified for. That is spoken about by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and others. But the point I'm making here is, regardless of whether that's true or not, Bhakti Rasa is awakened in the sense that every soul is orientated to love Krishna. And in that sense, the Prema Rasa, the rasa of pure love for Krishna, is universal within everyone. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyone else? Any questions?
Thank you for that. You mentioned that after pure devotional service, the soul can rest in Vishram and Vrindavan. Obviously, we understand that the soul's in no interest to serve. When you're saying rest, is it that through the service the soul is at rest? Or like, can you just elaborate a bit more what that means?
What does it mean to rest? Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Krishna has no work to do. See, every picture of Krishna is just having a good time. Just running around, playing with the cows, smiling, laughing. There's no work. In other words, in Vrindavan, there's no work. Everything is play. In Vrindavan, everything is Leela. Leela means divine play. In colloquial English, we say just for fun. In other words, in Vrindavan, you think about these kids. In Vrindavan, everyone's basically a kid. Krishna is Navayovanam. He's eternally 11 years old. Now look at these kids. Do these kids do any work? Even in the class, they're playing. They're always playing. Kids only play. Kids don't do anything else. Their whole life is joy. Their whole life is running around. Kids don't do anything out of responsibility or duty. Kids just play. So it's said when you spiritually grow up, you become a kid again. You become a child again. And in that sense, Vrindavan is the resting place, because it's the place where you don't have to do any work anymore. You don't have to show up, clock in, log in, Skype off. You don't have to do any of those things because there's no work. It's just everyone's having a good time. So in that sense, Vrindavan is the resting place. In Vrindavan, nobody does sadhana. In Vrindavan, you don't even have to organize a kirtan. It's just going on spontaneously. It's said that when Mother Yashoda is churning Then her bangles are moving, which are like kartals. The mortar is twisting, which is like a mridanga. And while churning, she's chanting Krishna's glories. It's like a one-man kirtan band. And it's not even organized, it's just spontaneous. In other words, in Braj, everything is just spontaneous. It's just play. In Vrindavan, all life is play. And all play is life. Just have a good time. In that sense, Vishnu. Does that make sense?
You mentioned about Kardama Muni living in one of the forests of Vrindavan.
Kapila Muni? Kapila Dev.
Yeah, Kapila Dev living in Vrindavan. So why does Kapil Dev? No, Kardama Muni. Sorry, just Kardama. Wasn't Kardama Muni the husband of Devahuti?
Kardama Muni, yes.
So Kardama Muni was living there, and I believe he was a pure devotee. And Vishnu comes and gives him darshan. Then why still, despite all that, why is he still asking for a wife? He knows that he should not be asking for a wife. In the shlokas he mentions that he's mentioning his emotions that he should not be asking. But then why is he asking for a wife? And Lord Vishnu is giving him darshan.
Thank you. These pastimes, we can see them on many levels. Like sometimes what the great souls are doing is they're displaying the human condition. They're displaying through their life the passions that human beings may go through. You see, if we read Srimad Bhagavatam and it was full of just people who renounced straight away, then all of us would look at it and think like, okay, this is great, but like, what about me? I can't do any of this stuff. So what the Bhagavatam does is it gives us different pastimes in which it seems as though individuals go through the normal human passions that any of us will go through in this world. But what the Bhagavatam shows is how you can go through those human passions and how you can then purify them in a way that ultimately takes you to Krishna. We could also say, why is it that, people in the Bhagavatam make it in there and make mistakes? Why does Bharat at the level of Bhav fall down? Why does Ajamil, who's born in such a good family, get attracted to a prostitute? Why does Brahma, who's the creator of the world, become enamored by his own daughter? Because the Bhagavatam wants to give us examples to show that human passion, human weakness, human mistake may come. But where you are doesn't determine who you are. You can improve, you can purify yourself, you can advance. And therefore the Bhagavatam is giving us hope in that way. And so when we read these stories, we can understand that all of this is the arrangement of the Lord to give us confidence and hope that we can also make it. Is that okay?
I remember recently you spoke about the rasa theology, where the taster taste the taste because they have the good taste. And so for us that have been to Vrindavan and experienced the good taste of being in Vrindavan, and when we come back, it's kind of like that taste hasn't set in our hearts enough. Is that because we're not drinking enough of the taste when we're in Vrindavan? Or is it because the material world is just so strong that when we leave something so close to the spiritual world, it's just pulling us?
Yeah, both. The first question is, did we actually go to Vrindavan? One Brajabasi told me, if you don't cry when you leave Vrindavan, it means you never entered. No, I entered. I went. No, you didn't. What does it actually mean to enter Vrindavan? What does it mean to be qualified to be a Brajabasi? Brajabas means one who stays in Braj. It's not just a physical thing. The gopis were fearless, the gopis were flexible, the gopis were fully available for Krishna. To the extent that we're fearless, to the extent that we're flexible to whatever Krishna wants for us, to the extent that we're fully available whenever Krishna calls us, to that extent we actually live in Vrindavan. So when we go to Vrindavan, yes, we get affected, but the depth of that affection depends on how purified our consciousness is. So yes, we feel some inspiration when we go to Vrindavan, but really we have to open ourselves up more. Through imbibing the qualities of the Brajabasis, then we can really see the real Vrindavan. And when we see the real Vrindavan, then I lost my heart in Vrindavan. Then nothing can affect you. But to lose your heart, you have to stop giving your heart to so many other things of this world. We give our heart is mixed. We give it to different people, we give it to different achievements, we give it to different desires. A different piece of our heart is dispersed in many, many different places. And therefore, Krishna, we allow him to capture part of our heart. But there's a whole other aspect of our heart which is captured by other things. So only when we say, Krishna, take it all. Sarva dharman parityaja. Take it all. I don't want to give my heart to anything of this world anymore because it just let me down. Last Christmas, you know that song. Just a waste of time. So there are different levels of experience when you go to Braj, and it depends on purity. Alright? Yes. Will it still be hard work in the beginning? Psychology tells us that when you want to change your personality, it goes through 4 stages. First stage is called unconscious incompetence. You're doing something wrong and you don't even know. The next stage is conscious incompetence. You're doing something wrong and at least you know now. The next stage is called conscious competence. You start trying to act in the right way, but you have to put effort. And then the final stage is unconscious competence. In other words, you start acting in the right way and you don't even have to think about it. This is basically ignorance. This conscious incompetence is basically like casual bhakti. Like someone knows it and they know what they need to do to overcome it, but they don't really do it. Conscious competence is committed bhakti. But unconscious competence is purified and passionate bhakti. So at this stage, you don't even have to try. Tvayi me nanya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udvatad adha gange gogum adanvati. Kunti Devi says, let my mind flow to you as the Ganga rushes towards the ocean without being diverted by anything else. No one can stop the ocean. No one can stop the Ganga river flowing towards the ocean. Have you seen? It's rushing. When will our minds become like that? When the gopis wanted to go and run to Krishna, nobody could stop them. They're just rushing. Radha, what does Radha mean? Raga, dhavati. Dhavati means to run, and Raga means attachment. So one meaning of Radha is she who is running after her object of attachment uncontrollably. So at one point, you can't stop someone from, it's just natural. They just run to Krishna. So therefore we experience some, like devotees go a little bit mad. Like one time my mom came to me and she said, can't you just be normal? Not possible. Too late. So yes, at one point it's not hard work. Right now it's hard work. You have to focus on your rounds. You have to show up in the morning. When the alarm clock goes off, get up, dress up, and show up. It's got to be military to some extent. Military. Yes. You have to work hard. If you want it, it's not cheap. We think love for Krishna will just come about cheaply. We have to try hard. But then at one point it becomes very natural. Alright? Yes. Why do we try to control it anyway? No worries. All right. So the mind, I said, is more difficult to control than the wind. So why do we even try to control it anyway? May as well just give up, right? May as well just let the mind eat us alive, right? May as well just let it just do what it wants to do, right? Wrong. Because there's one thing on your side. You're not fighting the battle alone. Right? Maybe I'll just speak. Can you hear me? Yeah. I speak. See, one thing you're not seeing is that you're not fighting the battle alone. Krishna is on your side. Devi hi esha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Krishna says this material energy is very difficult to overcome. But if you surrender to me, you can overcome it. In other words, don't tell God how big your problems are, tell your problems how big God is. So Krishna is on your side. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on your side. But are you going to team up with them? That's the point. Are you going to team up with Krishna? If you team up with Krishna, you can do anything, because yatra yogeshvara Krishno, yatra partho dhanurdhara. Wherever there is Krishna and wherever there is devotee, there will always be victory. But the point is, we don't team up with Krishna. Either we say, yeah, Krishna's all right, I'll do it myself. Or we say, I can't do it, I'm just going to surrender to it. So you've got to team up with Krishna. If you team up with Krishna, anything is possible. Does that make sense?
Hare Krishna, so we'll stop there. Is that okay, Maharaj? His Holiness Svayam Bhagavan Keshava Maharaj ki! Jai!